So very, very fortunate to have Jerónimo Mazarraza with us today. To me, it's one of the most interesting voices in the psychedelic space, in the plant medicine space today. I've been following his work for several years. I've heard him speak at the Breaking Convention a number of years ago, and then every time I can, I noticed I would hear what he had to say, and then I saw him in a few other talks. And then we got in touch last year because I was in touch with ICEers about some projects that we have in common. And then finally, the time came for us to invite Jerónimo to come. And I think we're in for a really good one. And I think you'll agree with me at the end. So Jerónimo works at ICEers, is Director of Social Innovation at ICEers. And I think many of you will know ICEers. But I will ask to get us started to perhaps give us a sense of what ICEers is today and your role in it. And if you want to sort of how you got to be in that special position. Jerónimo is one of the few people I know that has for a job, his job is to think about the evolving scene of psychedelics and plant medicines. That's really, I think he'll explain better. And that's quite a job to have, to be thinking of where we are and where we are going, where we should go. So you can see that, I wish I had, that's all I had to do. So really interesting conversations that I'm sure Jerónimo has had, and I hope you will share some of that today. So what's ICEers and what do you do presently for the organization?
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you for a very nice introduction. Thank you for coming. ICEers it's a mouthful. It's the International Center for Ethnobotanical Education, Research and Services. So it's a very broad, as you can see, the name itself says many things. Our mission is very broad. That's one of our advantages. It's very narrow in the group of plants that we work with, and very broad in the things that we do with them. Broadly speaking, what's the current vision? It's something like we navigate the challenges of the globalizations of plant medicines. So, we have a series of plants that have a history of traditional use, and for some time now, they've been globalized. Their use has been globalized. It has come out of the original cultures and indigenous groups that were in relationship with them, and it's going up into the wider world. And this brings situations of every sort. Some of them positive, some of them challenging, some of them even negative. So this is what we focus our work in. Roughly speaking, we have noticed that in indigenous groups and in the cultures that have longest relationship with these plants, their relationship with these plants is quite positive for the individuals and for the society at large. We would like to see a future in which these plants are as beneficial for us, for the cultures that are not of origin, as they are for the original cultures. Now, how does one get there? That is part of the work I do. So, like you said, I'm Director of Social Innovation. Social means groups of people, and innovation means new things, and social innovation means how you get groups of people to do new things. Obviously, these plants are not new at all. Their use is very old, even ancient in some cultures, but they're roughly new for us. So what I focus in my work is thinking about how these groups of people, so the societies outside of the countries of origin, can begin to engage on this new innovation, new for us anyway, which is establishing relationships with these plants. So the work I do, one part of it indeed is about thinking, is about trying to imagine this future. So if we would like to see a future in which ceremonial plant use is integrated outside of the countries of origin, what does that even look like? What do we mean by integrated? What do we mean by the ability to practice this in a legal and safe way? What does legal mean? What does safe mean? And, if we go forward 20, 10, 15, 20, 30 years into the future, and we say, okay, in this future, ceremonial plant work is practiced legally and safely. What does this even look like? What are the type of regulatory changes that will need to happen? What are the type of, so one part of it is imagining, one part of it is regulatory science fiction, one part of it is building models, and then one part of it is very active, and it's work that we do directly with facilitator communities in many countries, where we begin to engage and support what we believe are the next necessary steps, and this have to do with facilitator groups have to recognize themselves as a collective, first of all, with common needs and common issues. They have to organize themselves. They have to create representative bodies so they can sit down and have conversations with the authorities. They have to agree on minimum safety standards. They have to agree on how does one deal with challenging effects, how does one deal with bad actors, how does one deal with, there's a number of issues there. So what I try to do is I try to imagine this future, 10, 15 years, roughly, but also as beautiful as possible. So, you imagine the best possible future, or the future that you would like the most. And this is not something that I do by myself, but together with, in conversation, constant conversation with facilitators and with other people, with stakeholders, as they call them. And then I try to think backwards, what are now the steps that need to be taken in order to get to this place. So it's not just about imagining the future, but about also taking the steps towards it.
Yeah, okay. So, of course, medicine plant use goes